All right. I think we're live. That wasn't too difficult. I was expecting it to actually be a lot harder. Hi, Meredith. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm glad that we were able to finally make this work.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about having to reschedule the first time. I haven't been that sick in, I don't know how, I can't even remember how long ago. Like a fever, just chills, I don't know. Much better
Yeah,
now
no,
though. So,
it's all good. Like so many people have been really sick lately, and it's apparently it's like a lot of people on the East Coast. Like I know LTL was like really sick in January. Um, and a lot of people have just been saying the same thing. But how long did it take to get over that?
really just 2 days of feeling awful, and then I was fine. And I've been fine again since. Like my daughter's been sick since. Other people have been sick around me, and like I usually never get sick. That's why it was so weird. I'm just used to every winter everybody gets sick around me, and for some reason I have a strong immune system. I'm lucky enough that I don't get it, but
Yeah. I have a compromised immune system, so I have to be careful. But yeah, when I get sick, I usually get pretty sick. So um I'm glad it didn't take too long to get over. Um Sorry, we are about to get like bombarded with a really bad storm. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that we don't lose any internet here. So if that does happen, I will reconnect as soon as possible.
okay, no
All right.
worries.
So, for anyone who is new here, if you don't know who I am, hello, my name is Lacey Jane. I do a show every Thursday night from 7 to 9 p.m. And my passion is talking about true crime, but I talk about it with a twist of ethical true crime because I know several people who have been victims or directly impacted by true crime, and it's very important to me to not only advocate for the victims, but to try to you know get the story out to prevent it from happening to other people in many situations. And I see we have a comment. Hi, Denise. Thank you so much, Denise, for your kind words and your help with my necklace. I'm We haven't heard anything, but I promise I'll let you guys know once I do. It's still kind of difficult to talk about, but I appreciate everyone's really kind words and messages and reaching out to me. So I love you guys. You guys are great. With that being said, back to what I was saying. You can leave comments below for Meredith, for myself, anything that you just want to throw out there. You are more than welcome to do that. And yeah, every Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And I always bring in a guest that people want to hear from. And I was sitting at my computer one day and I was like, no one has interviewed Meredith. Like, I saw a stream with her once with her cats, and I was like, I wonder if that's by choice or if like people are just too afraid to ask to be the one like, hey, can I interview you for a show? And I was super psyched when I immediately got a message back from you and you were like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, so I was thrilled. I Mostly because of a lot of stuff that's been going on lately. I know who you are, but for anyone who is not familiar with who you are, maybe they've been living under a rock. why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. So my name's Meredith O'Neil. Probably if you're here, you know about me because of my involvement, I guess, in the Karen Reed case and Aidan Turtleboy's case. I was following the case for a while and kind of became involved in it when I was almost charged with witness intimidation when I was at a protest outside of D&E Pizza with a few other my friends who are now called the Canton Nine. Kind of got involved more in the case more than just before, where I was just following it and reading the legal documents when that whole thing happened. And then obviously many people know I started dating Aidan last January. So now I'm just kind of involved in every aspect of it. So that's probably where you know me from, or from most notably the CF McCarthy's incident this past summer. I feel like that's like how everybody knows me at this point.
That, to this day, is the most cringe-worthy video to watch. Like, do you feel that way when you watch it?
I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm just numb to it because I like first lived it, and then I've watched it so many times just to analyze it, just analyzing the different things that the different people said there, because they're all yelling on top of each other. So I've literally watched it probably like 100 times just to pick apart quotes from each of them, just for helping with Aidan's case. Yeah, no, it's super cringe. I was seeing it again recently because Aidan recently did put together a video of it of like Sam Nagel touching me, who, by the way, like, so a lot of people don't know the backstory of this. I didn't know he was Sam Nagel until we got out there. So when we were still inside CF McCarthy's having dinner, at one point he came up and sat next to me. So Aidan was on my right, and then there were plenty of open seats at the bar, but he came and just sat right next to me to my left. Aidan was kind of busy talking with some fans who wanted pictures while this whole thing happened, but he sits right next to me. He doesn't tell me, oh, I'm Sam Nagel. He just said he was Sam. How are you doing? Was like talking about himself, said he was a chemist and all this stuff, making small talk. And he was like, you're super beautiful, nice. And then like, that was it. And then flash forward to like whenever we finished dinner and went outside when the whole thing started, he was sitting down. And then that's when we put two and two together. Like, oh, you're Juliana Nagel's brother. That's great. You were just
okay. So
to talk to me.
It wasn't, so whose son is that?
Sam Nagel?
Yeah.
I don't know I don't really know much about the Nagel parents, but his relevance is, you know, Juliana Nagel, who testified, she was at 34 Fairy the night. That's her brother.
Okay.
And Ryan Nagel's brother. I think he's Sam is the youngest, I believe.
There are so many aspects of that video that are just completely gross to me. But I have to say, him touching you repeatedly, that I know, we all know what they wanted to happen. Oh my God, my windows are shaking. What they wanted to happen was for Aidan to freak out, right? Like, and to beat his ass. But
yeah, that's totally what they wanted to happen. And I know, like, a lot of people have said, well, like, if I was Meredith, I would have punched Sam.
no, yeah, you can't say that.
Honestly, everything in me wanted to literally rip his arm off me and do that. But I honestly, he's insane. These people are lunatics. I don't know, like, I don't know if he would have hit me back or something. And then I don't know if Aidan would have had this self-control to control himself. Like, if he literally like hit me or something, he probably wouldn't, and it could have ended terribly. So I didn't really have a choice.
I mean, he was like egging Aidan on the entire time. And it's just, having been in situations like that where someone wants you to react a certain way, thank God it ended when it did, but it didn't end without, was your phone taken as well as Aidan's, or was it just Aidan's?
No, I had my phone the whole time. Jill Daniels wasn't interested in my phone. I think she wanted Aidan so she could look for nudes on his, to be honest. She loves him. But no, nobody took my phone. It was just his twice. First Jim Ferris and then Jill Daniels.
And so for people who are unfamiliar, so you guys were having dinner there, and did you guys know that they would be there that night? Obviously.
No, I mean, we were in Canton.
You didn't tell me.
We were in Canton to drive down 34 Berry in Cedar Crest because it was shortly after the testimony that happened in court that the stairs that were showing in John O'Keefe's Apple Health data were caused by driving down a supposed steep hill. So that's why we were in Canton that day, was doing experiment, and then it was dinner time. So like, let's go to CF McCarthy's and eat. And on our way in, when we were going in, Colin Albert happened to be going into D&E Pizza, and we just walked by, but Colin stops and he's like, go call the cops now. Like, he's outside, like, for literally just walking into dinner. And then, yeah, no, it was only Colin Albert when we first walked in, but then by the time we left, there was like a whole group of them and that had gathered outside just waiting for us to finish dinner. It was great.
They must have no life, or like just total pussies. Like, you got to call your squad in.
Yeah, they rarely leave Canton. They're always there. They're gonna, like, they were born and they're gonna die in Canton, and that's their life.
Oh, that's unfortunate for them. So how far away are you from Canton?
I live in Southeast, so South Boston. So it's like, I don't know, if there's no traffic right now, it would take me like 20 minutes on the highway to get there. I grew up in Milton, though, which is a town right next to Canton, and the part of Milton I grew up was bordering Canton. So I was really like, I grew up 10 minutes from there, and I didn't know any of these people growing up or anything.
Isn't that where Aidan lives?
No, Aidan lives out in Holden. He grew up in Western Mass, which is about like 45 an hour away.
Okay. Milton, Holden, I don't know. It sounded very homely. I must have gotten them confused. So kind of going back a little bit, what do you do for a living? A lot of people, I don't feel like, know this.
Yeah, I'm a CPA, so I don't do anything with taxes like most people think. I do financial reporting. I work mainly on private equity funds and hedge funds. So my busy time of year is right now, and from January until about March 31st. Like last week, I worked about 80 hours. I'd say I work weekends, all hours of the day, and then the rest of the year, that was a pretty laid back schedule, which is nice. So I like it. That the worst miserable times of weather of the year, I'm busy, and then I have the rest of the year I still work, but it's a lot more laid back.
Yeah, I mean, that's really nice. Now, are you your own boss, or do you like work for a firm, or are you able to like elaborate a little bit more? Because that's ironically enough kind of the area that my husband works in.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to say where I work, because I mean, most of the trolls know. They've already contacted my work, but I'm not going to put it out there again. I work for a firm. I mean, at this point, I have only one other person I really report to, and he's in Toronto. I mean, I have
nice.
A bunch of people that report to me. They're all over the world, though. So I work pretty much fully remote, which is nice, so that it gives me the flexibility that as long as everything's getting done that needs to, and I can answer my team when they need me. Like, I have the flexibility to do things like go to court hearings and then finish work later and stuff. So
that's where I was going with this. Like, you must have the coolest boss in the world to let you go to the court hearings. And
he wouldn't even, honestly, he would never ever miss me. Like, I don't have to, like, when I say report, like, I mean, I'm under him, but we have like status catch-ups a couple times a week, but it's like, it's not like I have a boss that's like looking at what I'm doing every day at this point. So he wouldn't even know. So as long as the work's getting done. So yeah, it's funny because a lot of the trolls like to, she's always at court. She must not have a job other than following Turtleboy around. And it's like, no, like, you just, I guess most of them don't have jobs at all, or they're working the kind of jobs they don't understand that, like, there are like white collar jobs where you can just work from home and get like do your work and not have to go in and clock in somewhere. So they don't.
Girl, preach. Yeah. I have a lot of opinions on that. So I love that you figured that out as well. They're completely oblivious to what society is. Yeah. Denise, they don't understand what remote means and that you can, have a nice life and make good money working and not be in an office. So shame on them, but whatever. Um, what's what's something that a lot of people like don't know about you? Like, do you have a special hobby? Are you like really into something like that's different than the majority of us?
I mean, I don't like to share too much about my personal life outside of everything, but
You like Taylor Swift. I think
yeah,
I
Taylor
established
Swift,
that. Have
yeah.
you seen her in concert?
Oh yeah, a few times.
Oh my God, really? Oh, that's baller.
Yeah, we went to the Eras tour. Obviously, that was the most recent one, and then we went to Reputation. We went to 2 nights of it because it was the first one was so good that we had to go back for a second one.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool. I know someone who was a stagehand for a lot of for concerts in a certain city, not even concerts, like anything at the convention center. And it took a week or like 4 days rather to put everything together for the Eras tour. And I thought that was wild. And it was like 24/7 shifts. Um, People were always in there. And it was a huge deal for the city. But I watched it on YouTube. There are these people that stream it live. I can't believe how good of a performer she is. She's up there with Bruno Mars. I've seen him live 5 times, 4 times. I've lost count. But he like dances, he sings, he plays instruments. And that's kind of who I would like compare Taylor Swift to, but like a dude, you know?
Yeah,
They've probably been around for about the same amount of time too, ironically enough.
I don't know. I'm not really a Bruno Mars fan, to be honest, so I don't know.
I
But
hated him for the longest time. Like right when he became famous, he was like walking down the street or something, causing a ruckus, and they found like meth on him. And this is like 2009. And I was like, ew, what a loser. And now he's just like grown and I swoon. I think he is like the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I sound so old saying that. So it's my understanding you kind of got started off pretty early with being a mom, correct? Because you look like you're 25, like you're
no,
gorgeous.
stop it. I'm about to be 35 next month, but thank
Okay.
you.
You definitely don't look 35, but I've heard on other streams people talk about relating with you over having a teenager, and I'm like, oh my God, that's wild.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I definitely did have her young. I had her when I was 20. So like my first year of college. And it definitely kind of just made me grow up fast. And
yeah.
I mean, I finished college early in 3 years, and then went right into grad school to get my 2 master's degrees. And then by 22, 23, I was like working full time at a public accounting firm.
2 master's degrees?
Yep. A
I
master's in accounting and an MBA.
oh, I'm a public administration. So
Nice.
it wasn't even hard. I hate to say that. It wasn't hard. It was just a lot of time. And if I were to go back to school, it would be for something in the legal field, but I have no plans on that. That's wild. But I also finished school in 3 years, so something that we have in common, which on my part was foolish. I was on a full ride, and I wanted to graduate so I could get out of college and go live with my boyfriend. And now I'm like, oh my God, I was such an idiot. I should have just stayed like 2 extra years. um, Speaking of boyfriends, so like Can you explain kind of the evolution of your relationship with Aidan, and like what does that look like? And um yeah, I heard his interview with my former guest Brandy Churchwell, and I that is like my favorite interview of his, and I think I've messaged him that like he should do more of those. So I wanted to get that interview, but from you, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. A lot of people said how much they love that interview. So yeah, I
Oh, it's
mean,
the best.
pretty much how he said it. So just our relationship before he went to jail, we were strictly friends. Like, we had
So you knew him.
spoken a few times about Canton Nine stuff. About like, I think most recently when we looked back at our messages before everything when he was in jail, and it was like just about like which lawyer we were going to use and everything for the Canton Nine and stuff like that. And I had said how like I didn't want to do like any kind of fundraiser for our lawyer and stuff. And then he looked back at our chats too, like when he got out of jail, like once we were in a relationship, he was like, wow, you were like strictly business, like talking to me, like nothing like anything more. And I was like, yeah, I mean, why would I? So when he went to jail, I had just messaged, we'd spoken like a bit, but not a lot. But I just sent him a message when like everybody said he wanted to get messaged, just saying like just some encouraging things, just that he was going to get through this. Just I don't know. I just thought about what I would want to hear if I was in his situation, like which by the way, he handled jail like he made the best of it. I would be a depressed mess and I would not do well in jail. But I don't know. I just sent him some encouraging words and we started talking over the phone when he got everything set up with the phone, and we would literally just talk about the case, just like the new motions that came in. Sometimes I would play like the hearings if Karen had a court hearing for him over the phone. And
He only had like 15 minutes, right? Like,
well, it's 15 minutes at a time and then you have to start over. So like, yeah, when we first started talking, we would talk maybe once here and there, like every couple days. And then by the end of that, before he was getting out, it was like for 4 hours straight. And then he would have to keep calling back every 15 minutes. He would cut us off and then call back. He was like, all right, I'll call you right back. I'll call you right back. So my call log would be like 30 calls, like the same number in a row, because we had to keep resetting. But anyways, yeah, we were just talking about the case. I actually helped write a couple blogs while he was in there.
okay.
So it was like strictly platonic for the first few weeks. And then we were just talking more and more. And like, I never would have been the first one to say, like, I like you, just because, I mean, I was like, look, he has like so much going on. He's literally in jail because of like being accused of like stuff with like this other girlfriend. And it's just like, yeah, no, I would never.
It was messy at the time.
Obviously, I like felt something, but he was the one who was on like January 23rd. He was like, I like you. And then I was like, I don't know. I was really taken back to it. I think I was said like thanks or something. And then like later that night, like a couple of our friends who he was also talking to, one of them was like, yeah, Aidan told me he said he liked you and you just said thanks. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't know. And then we talked and I was like, yeah, I like you too. It was really
I may or may not like you too.
yeah. So and it just, I mean, when just kind of evolved to talking all the time. And I would go and visit him on Tuesdays and Saturdays. He would get his 1 hour of somebody, we would talk to each other through a glass screen. But I mean, even though it was like my busiest time of year with work, I still made time to talk to him for multiple hours a day. And it was weird because by the time he was out on February 23rd, we'd spent like 4 or 5 hours a day sometimes talking on the phone. It was like we knew each other so much more than like if you were dating somebody in the real world. Like, I mean, you think about it, you maybe see them
I know.
a couple times a week, maybe once or twice, like you text a little bit here and there, like just the amount of conversations we have. It was like a year of like dating in
Right.
the real world in real life. And like the other thing was we got to know each other really well just from talking without having any physical relationship, which is, so we connected like emotionally before we were ever able to even touch each other. Which there's something to be said. Like I was like joking. I was like, they should have like a I don't know, jail, like Love is Blind jail or something. Because like, there's something to be said for getting to know somebody like intellectually, emotionally before ever
Yeah.
physical. So
That's that's really special to be able to do that in a really weird way, you know, like it's almost kind of like 90 Day Fiance, where you are on opposite sides of the world and somehow you've connected, and you've created that like connection with someone. Now, for the most part, I think that show is a sham. But I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy a little bit of reality television. So
I've never seen 90 Day Fiance. I really like Love is Blind though. That's the one dating show I'll watch. I don't watch Bachelor or anything else, but I like Love is Blind.
Frank, did we watch that? First season. He said first season. I don't know why we. They had the wall in between each other. Is that with the wall in between each other? Yeah. He's literally on the other side of the wall too. This is just like an open. This is supposed to be a dining room, and this is my makeup studio / like my office where I'll do makeovers and do other things like this. So it's not a dining room, but yeah, he's in the sitting room. That's funny. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. I remember Aidan saying that you liked that show on was it on Paramount? It was like scary. It had that black guy.
Oh, from. Oh, it's not even scary. He's such a baby. Like he gets freaked out about like the stupidest things, like in movies when somebody gets like cut open or something. He like starts screaming. He's like, "Oh my god!" Like. Like you should I was like, that bothers you? You should see Grey's Anatomy. Like if that's like, but he was like petrified from watching like one episode of From. So we stopped. What are we watching now? I think we're watching Homeland instead. Yeah, we watched The Wire because I'd never seen that. So now we're watching, but it took us like literally probably 6 months to finish it because I always fall asleep like within 20 minutes of putting on a show. So like we kept having to restart it, like watching 20 minutes at a time. But now we're watching Homeland, which I've already seen. So he's like almost done with it because he's like, we'll stay up and like watch it. And we don't have to catch up because I've already seen the whole thing.
It's such a good show.
Homeland?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Homeland. I think I've watched that at least 2 times over.
This is my second time. I watched it for the first time through a couple of years ago. So like I remember it all, but it's still like, it's not that fresh. So I like watching it, but we don't need to rewind it when I fall asleep. So
yeah, that's a really good show. And when I found out that you liked the show From, I thought of a couple of other shows that they're not like weird, like sci-fi shows, which I think that From might be considered that.
Yeah, I don't really like, that's the only show really like that. Like, most of the other shows I watch are more like thrillers or just dramas.
Yeah. I like spy stuff. Like I like national security. Like I geek out over like, you know, like I'm going to save the earth sort of shows, but
the only other show kind of like that I like is Yellow Jackets, which just started up again.
Mm-hmm. That's another one, like kind of weird, but it's okay. We're all into it. I don't know. Yeah. It's
getting really weird this season. I'm not really a fan so far this season, but
I'm gonna wait for the season to end and then I'll start watching it again.
I should have done that. It's so much better than having to wait.
A lot of great shows on Apple TV, like the show Shrink, with Harrison Ford, who I think is like the hottest man alive, and he's like 75 years old. I swear to God, like Harrison Ford just looks great. And Jason Segel. Who is your red hot crush? Like your like celebrity crush?
Who is?
Yeah.
I don't know. The guy who's in Euphoria, and he was also in like that Kissing Booth movie. I think his name's like Jacob Elordi or something. He's really He's pretty hot.
It is. I've never watched that. I would say mine is Vince Vaughn. I have a very weird taste.
Oh,
I think he's so funny. But back to kind of like all of this. So you created that connection while he was in jail. Like, how did you tell your friends and family about that? Was that weird?
I mean, my friends, like at this point that I talk to regularly every day, like Deanna and those, they kind of knew just from being involved in this. But some of my friends, when I told them, I guess like once things got serious, like once he was out, I didn't see. Yeah, I mean, it was only the first month or two while he was in jail, so I didn't really tell some of my friends from college and home that I don't talk to on a daily basis anymore. I didn't tell them till after, but my mom was probably the first one that I had told that it was like a weird thing to tell her, but she listens to Howie Carr, a radio station here that Aidan goes on very regularly. She listens to that religiously. So because of that, she knew who he was, and she was like, okay, like he's good. But at first, she was just like, Meredith, like he's literally in jail for. I was like, she's like, just be careful. And now, like, she's met him obviously, and she loves him. And
I saw the tell everyone what she got you guys for Christmas.
Oh yeah, she got us a CF McCarthy's gift card for Christmas. I was like, is she really trolling us with this Christmas present?
I thought that was so great.
Yeah.
And your daughter likes him?
Yeah. Yep.
Good. So like you didn't go into this like with a crush on him. It just kind of like happened organically.
No, definitely not. Like honestly, the opposite. Like I was like, he's literally married. He's in jail from this thing with Lindsay. I was like, I would never like even consider it. Like I never would have considered it before he went to jail. But then when that happened at that point, I was like, all right, he's clearly getting divorced now. Like it was very public like thing. So that's when. And even that, I still like had to like go through some mental gymnastics to be like okay with the whole situation with everything. So no, like I feel like it was the opposite of a crush, almost like no, this like makes no sense. This is crazy. Like it's literally the worst possible time to start anything. Like
that's when it always happens.
I know that's what people say. They're like it just happens, and when you know, you know.
That's when it always happens. So yeah, I don't know much about that. Is he divorced yet or no?
Yeah, yep, it's been finalized for a few months now. But as soon as like the same week he got out of jail, though, he met with a divorce attorney, and that all started. So, and I just would have never been okay with going through that, obviously starting a relationship with somebody who wasn't planning to get a divorce. So yeah,
I love the way that he like talks like that. You know, things were really bad when they were together and now they're like really good. Like he puts such a positive spin on it. And I really appreciate couples that do that. You know, especially with kids. So I've thought really highly of him for that. And him being able to do the bus stop thing every day, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always, and I'm not going to speak on his relationship with that, but I mean, it's always the ideal situation when you're not going to be with the other parent anymore. Like I can speak from my personal situation with Allie's dad, my daughter's dad. I mean, it hasn't always been great, like when we first broke up, but now like it's been 10 years since we've been together, and we like for probably 9 of those years, the past years now, like we're friendly, like we co-parent great. It's like we get along with the family great. Like I mean, last 2 summers ago, I went to Paris with his mom and Allie together. Like we're that good of friends. Like we all get along. We all do what's best for Allie, and so it's always the best situation when you have parents that can get along even when they're not together, and you could put your personal differences aside to realize that what's best is for your child is that you get along and co-parent well together. So that's always the ideal situation. And it's like it's never perfect right away from like when you separate. It takes time, but I've been in that point for a long time now, just where I've been able to really co-parent well, peacefully, and get along great with my ex. And I hope that for everybody who's separating and has kids.
That is so cool to go, to still be cool enough to be able to go to Paris. Like,
yeah.
So were you married or no?
Nope, we never got married. So
okay. That doesn't make it any easier, just for anyone wondering. Like, I recognize, Meredith, that still must have been really difficult to go through, like, that separation. So I'm so glad that you're like positive about it. And hopefully anyone struggling with co-parenting is able to listen to this and recognize, yeah, Denise, it's about the kids at the end of the day. And I'm seeing a lot of La La Land. Yeah. The Brazilians on that show are kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. If you haven't done so already, sorry I cut you off, Meredith, but if you guys could please like and share this stream, just so we get some viewers on it, so that people can know, who Meredith is, and be able to ask questions, which you guys can do if you're watching on Twitter, which is, I wouldn't know if anyone's watching on YouTube, I don't think. But if you are watching, please feel free to type in any questions that you might have. And as long as you are appropriate, and I don't have to verbally beat your ass, then you'll be able to ask your questions. All right. So, like, you guys tell me about, like, when he found out he was getting out of jail. Was it, did he know from the jump, like, when he was going to get out, or was it more of a, like, hey, I just found out I'm going to get out of jail this week sort of thing?
I mean, we knew from the start, we knew pretty quickly that it wasn't going to be the full 90 days that the judge mistakenly said when his bail was revoked. He mistakenly said 90 days, and it's only 60 days if it's a charge out of Superior Court. So that was amended. There was at one point an appeal to the SJC to get him out early that was eventually denied. But by the time it ended up honestly happening, it was like a matter of a difference of 10 days earlier than normal. So it was just like, all right, whatever, I'm out in 10 days. So yeah, no, it wasn't really a mystery when he was getting out.
And that must have been really interesting, going to Visitors Day. I didn't know about that. Like, so he was allowed to have visitors on Tuesdays and Saturdays?
Yeah, no, that was definitely not something I had on my bingo card for 2024, is going to visit an inmate at Norfolk County House of Corrections, nor was like having ingrained in my head to accept a call from Norfolk County Corrections. Like, I had that thing memorized by the time he was out, just for the number of calls that I'd had to get from with that message. But yeah. Yeah, no, it was, I mean, I guess as you'd expect, as you'd see in a movie, he's sitting there in orange. We're through a glass screen. I have to go through security. It was a whole thing. Like, you can't bring phones or anything in. I had to take my earrings out. Like, I don't know what they think I'm going to do with an earring. Like, when there's also glass and I can't even, like, go near him. It was, yeah, so.
I mean, it was a whole glass thing. It wasn't like a table. Like,
no. I don't.
I only watch movies, like,
Yeah, I think you get to meet at tables that's when you're like sentenced, and you have like visits with family. If you're already sentenced, I think you get that. Yeah, no, when you're just so he was in a part where it's like people who are waiting, like, who had their bail revoked for something, or awaiting sentencing, or awaiting trials. So. Yeah, no, it was It was it was interesting. But it was I never saw other people visiting jail. It was just us because he was basically separated and like medical. He had like his visiting time wasn't like when other people had visitors. It was just a specific time. I forget. It was like Saturday mornings at like 11, I want to say, and then Tuesday nights at 6 or something. Yeah, no, but yeah, no, something we both looked forward to every week was the visits, even though it was quick and only through glass. It always went by really quickly.
How long? Like an hour? Or...
5 minutes to an hour, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I really didn't know that. Him in orange. Has he worn orange since?
Yeah, he has like a sweatshirt, I think, that he wears, but I don't know. I don't really like the bright orange. Like I wouldn't wear that, but
it's not in your wardrobe capsule. Wow, that's really interesting. So when, and I want to make sure to get your opinion on this. I'm not trying to, I mean, anyone can go back and listen to anything he said, but as far as when he got tricked by Lindsay, were you two friends at that time? Like, were you aware that he was like there was a warrant out when he was about to get his bail revoked?
Oh, the Christmas Eve thing?
Yeah.
Honestly, no. So I only knew about her because she came to a hearing back in November, and I was with Deanna, and Deanna introduced me to her.
I just followed Deanna. I wasn't aware you were friends.
Oh yeah, we're best friends.
Hi, Deanna.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, I was friends with Deanna, and I saw like the only time I even knew about her was from her attending a hearing in November. And then it was weird. Like right after that hearing, she added me on Facebook and she messaged me. It was like, "It's so nice to meet you. I'm planning like a birthday dinner for Aidan in December. Like you should come," and blah, blah, blah. So like, my only interactions with her were that message. And then she messaged in December planning this like birthday dinner and stuff. And that's the only reason I knew who she was. And then flash forward to Christmas Eve, obviously things had gone. I wasn't like talking to Aidan enough that I would know if they broke up or anything. We'd never talked about anything like that. We literally just talked about Canton 9 stuff. And
oh yeah, okay.
And then on Christmas, I was talking to Deanna. I was like, "What?" And I saw all the Twitter stuff before, like I heard from anybody. And then I asked Deanna,
what was going on?
And she kind of explained to me what
was going on. For those of like, I wasn't following him back then.
So
on Twitter, like,
oh, there was just like a tweet that was then deleted by Dave Cullinane that said like a bolo was out for him and out of Medfield. So I asked Deanna about it, and she was just like, "I'll like explain to you later, but like, yeah, come to court tomorrow." So yeah.
Oh dear. I mean,
and it was like an all-day thing that ended up with him having his bail revoked. It was really sad.
He must have been crushed.
Yeah, it was his birthday too.
I cannot imagine. And you know, I really hope that he gets them good for what that that criminal justice system has done to him. Having known about the recordings and just the craziness on her part. I mean, didn't she just threaten to like murder someone and her kid?
Oh yeah, she's a lovely, lovely person. Threatened to murder somebody who was literally just telling the truth about her crappy parenting. Another one of her greatest hits was like, this was a year ago yesterday. She tried, like, he was only a few days out of jail, and she tried to get him sent back to jail. Where she had never. I was sitting in court with Aidan at the Karen Reed hearing, and she walks in with her restraining order in hand. She'd never gone to a Karen Reed hearing before. Didn't care. Came with Paul O'Keefe.
Paul
gets him kicked out of court, and then makes up a fake restraining order violation that still like we're dealing with today. There's going to be a trial for it in the summer, and the restraining order is totally gone now. It was not renewed. We had a hearing in January.
Right.
Where probably the biggest highlight was Tim Bradel pulling out a stack like a couple inches thick of all of the times she's been tweeting about him the last year. Like,
yeah, it's
she's
crazy.
not afraid. She's obsessed with him. So the order luckily was not renewed. So it's a non-issue now. But even before it was totally vacated this year, or it wasn't renewed, it was modified a month later by a judge that if like the restraining order is there, but within 50 or 150 feet of any courthouse, it's safe to be. Like, so what happened a year ago yesterday wouldn't have been a violation anymore as of last April. So it's just a ridiculous attempt. Mello walked in on the 14th of March last year, tried to send Aidan to jail for 120 days this time, all by led by her and her friend Kate Peter, who put together all this craziness, all these weird screenshots of videos from that day, trying to say it was a restraining order violation and put him back in jail through July. It's just, luckily she seems, in the last couple of months, she seems to have finally gone away, but it's just like, at that point, it was
which one, Kate or
be out of our lives. And
which one, Kate or Lindsay?
Well, both of them, but especially Lindsay was the one I was saying, because she was the one who caused the whole violation thing and the threat of literally trying to put him back in jail because of what happened on February 26th. The first couple of weeks of him being free, he was just on edge and not even at peace at all, because on the March 14th, the hearing for it, he could have been sent back to jail again. She's probably never going to be out of but she doesn't really go after. She kind of I don't know. She hasn't really done too much to me. It's more Aidan, but I was more when is going to be out of our lives, because she's worse than Kate, to be honest.
Yeah, she the instability is what makes her such a wild card, and that is what's concerning about her. Just the actions that I've watched and I've seen, and that's not how normal people behave, y'all, at all. And don't forget, if you guys want to ask Meredith something, feel free to in the comments, or you can message me, and I can get those to her. What else were we? I'm trying to think if I cut you off. I have the tendency to do that when I get excited to hear something. So do you feel like Aidan going to jail, if he hadn't gone to jail, would you guys have connected, do you think?
I definitely not. I mean, he probably would have. We were talking about this recently, and it would have ended bad with her one way or another. Maybe not jail if he hadn't gone over that night, but it would have been bad. It would have blown up his life in a big way, just because she wasn't going to let go. So I don't know. I don't think, no, we probably would not be together. I certainly, knowing if he was still living with his wife and married, I wouldn't have ever entered into a relationship with him. So yeah, probably not. We probably wouldn't be where we are today if he didn't go to jail. I mean, that's one thing he said when it happened. He was he wrote me a couple letters, actual handwritten letters when he was in jail. And one of them was something I think God put me here. I wouldn't have met you if it weren't for this. He was he put me at the worst. He gave me put me through the worst thing in the world. But I met you.
And God, in my opinion, God only puts you in situations that you can handle. And I think that Aidan, unfortunately, was the sacrificial lamb. And I know that he handled it to the best of his abilities, but I after hearing some of the things that he said about what life was like afterwards, it seems like it was really traumatic for him. What was the reasoning for not putting him in general population?
I think they were worried that he was going to write about it, or if anything happened to him, they were going to get in trouble and written about. But he wanted to be in general population, or at least in another unit that wasn't medical, that was totally isolated. And all the trolls love to lie about this, and even the M. William Phelps podcast guy would lie about it, saying that he begged to be alone. But I spoke to him every day, all day, and I remember how crushed he was when he found out, for sure, that there was no way he was getting out of medical, and how isolating it could be in there, and he hated it.
I've said this in comments, and there are 3,000 people, well, not on Sex Cult Night. And if you guys don't know, if you aren't subscribed to Aidan's Turtle Club, you need to be. Every Thursday night he hosts a members only chat. And Meredith and I were talking about that earlier this week. We're going to try to let her go a little bit early from our discussion tonight, because she would like to spend time with him before Turtle Sex Cult starts. And it's a whole reason why it's called that. Obviously, there's no sex culting going. I know my parents are watching this, Meredith. They're like, what?
Yeah, no, one of the trolls called it his members only stream a sex cult, so he just embraced it, and he says it almost as a joke, making fun of them because they're so stupid.
Oh my God, they're so awful. They're so awful. I know that they have been awful to you. But if you haven't, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, what is the website? I have it on my favorites. Turtle. It's
you go to tbdailynews.com. You should be able to just navigate to where it says Turtle Club on there, and then there's instructions.
tbdailynews.com. I'll try to post this. Dailynews.com. I don't know. It said I could make a comment. I don't know where that comment went to. I don't know if it went to Twitter. Tell TB we love him. And I'm sure MSP have many messaged to him from 2016 when he used to do the Ratchet blogs. It was a guy in Upton, La La Land. I don't know what you're talking about. You'll have to message me later with more information. But we do love Turtleboy. He cracks my shit up. And I love the fact that he seems like he's just one of those guys who's really down to earth in real life. You know what I'm saying? He just seems like a sweet guy. I'm able to, I don't know. Is that true?
Yeah, no, he definitely is. I mean, he definitely says some things I wouldn't say personally. He's not for everybody, but yeah, no, of course. He is really down to earth, and he's not the same as he is on the show. So
do you think that jail really changed him?
Oh, definitely. I think it caused a reset that he desperately needed in his life, and he's definitely changed for the better. A lot of people bring up stuff to me he's done in the past and whatnot. And as I've kind of said, and I told him this, we would have conversations in jail. He'd be I'm worried, you're going to find out this about me or this, and or this person's going to go at you and get you to not be with me anymore. And I was look, as far as I'm concerned, from when you went to jail, you've a clean slate with me. So it's only moving forward. So
I think that's fair. I don't think it's about beating a dead horse, he's clearly, I mean, from what I've seen, I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen, many videos from before jail. But I've heard the way that he talks about it, and it caused him a lot of duress. So I really hope for his sake that he's able to talk loud and proud about it and get some people held accountable for what they did to him and taking him away from his family. Kind of going off the trolls situation. How has that been to have these people like automatically just come after you?
Yeah, I mean, when it first started, it really bothered me. It was probably about a year ago around this time. So like talking about what I told you earlier about us getting up to leave in court because of Lindsay last year, a year ago yesterday, we had not really told many people about our relationship and had not planned to for a bit, to be honest, like when he got out. But then yesterday, a year ago, happened where we were literally on national TV, like getting up and leaving together. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna I was actually there with other friends too that day. We all came together, but I wasn't gonna just let him walk out alone and be like worried. So I got up, and then we were on national TV, and then from there, kind of people just started suspecting, and then within a month, it was like we were just like we weren't really hiding it. To be honest, at that point. But so yeah, like of course that's like I wasn't really used to it at all. I was kind of nobody. Like people a few people knew who I was because of the Canton 9 thing, but not really. So it went from me being to like pretty much unknown to just hundreds of these trolls, like now just transferring all of their hate that they already had for him and then just putting it onto me too. And it would really bother me. I would spend way too many hours looking at what they were saying for like the first couple of months of it. And then I just realized like this is a waste of time. I need to just ignore it. You know what? If they want to spew their evil, just let them act like middle schoolers, act like toddlers. They're mostly under anonymous accounts. They probably don't work. They probably have a really sad life if that's what they're focused on. And that's what makes it that they need to be happy. Their source of happiness is saying these hateful things to others that they don't even know personally. And just ignoring it is like, that's really the main thing. And then the second thing is just the perspective of it. If you see how much worse, like they're like multiplied by 500 what they say about Karen, what they say about Aidan, and it's just makes it so much easier to just ignore it and not let it bother you.
I mean, it goes to show also what it's like being under a magnifying glass and what it must be like for Karen as well. And I can only imagine how difficult that was for you, what an adjustment it was. Going from like a calm, quaint life, raising your daughter, and then kind of having all this chaos come at you at once from unwell people. And the irony is that you're right. Like, these people aren't using their real names. These people aren't using actual photos. These people think that they have a brazen set of balls to be out here talking shit about you when they can't even, say who they are. And that's they're sad and pathetic losers. It is what it is. So I'm glad that you see it and you didn't. You've handled it as well as you have, because I think
that's really the only way to. I mean, I kind of have fun with it now. I laugh at it. A lot of the stuff that they say when people send me screenshots of it, I can only laugh. Some of the things that they come up with, like one day, somebody made like a post about me having like some like setting powder on my shirt before going into court or something. Like,
really? Oh, did they think it was like cocaine?
No, they were like, oh, it's like.
Sorry, my mind went way too far with that.
No, it was, I don't even know. They were just like, oh, like wearing like should have like spent time getting dry cleaned instead of like following like Turtleboy around or something. And it was like literally like, it's like, that's all you can come up with now.
Really? What a pathetic bunch of losers. Oh my gosh. Like, to be so obsessed with someone, like, wow. wow.
Yeah, I just have to remember if I wasn't with Aidan, that's like why they're doing this.
Oh yeah.
The most vicious ones we found out were mostly Lindsay on her fake accounts, to be honest, which made the most sense. So that's kind of stopped recently since she kind of disappeared. But
do you think she's disappeared, or do you think she's using old accounts?
I don't know. There was an account a few weeks ago when I was in Florida. I know that got saying some really vicious things.
Really?
I don't know. I think she probably pops in and out, but
it depends on when she hasn't refilled her meds.
Yeah,
it's just a little, brain miscount on the meds, but whatever. Oh, I see questions on my YouTube. Meredith, how much money did the kittens ultimately end up raising?
Oh, so yeah, the kittens' half birthday fundraiser, not even their full birthday, their half birthday, it raised a little over $6,000. I'm still so shocked. I kind of did it as a joke because Grant Smith Ellis started this fake rumor that Nurse Kim and I were stealing money from Nurse Kim's birthday fundraiser.
Right.
And I was just like, all right, Grant, no, but I'm going to start a half birthday fundraiser for my cats. And I was like, I hope maybe we can raise $600 for 6 months and I'll match it. And then we hit that in a couple hours. And then I was like, all right, now wait. So we ended up making $6,000 for cats' half birthdays. My birthday is actually next month, March 24th. So I'm going to try and do a similar fundraiser and say donate $350 or $35 because I'm turning 35. And I hope maybe we can make half of that, $3,000 or something. Because that'll be kind of a slap in the face if the cat's half birthday makes more than my real birthday or makes that much more. So I know they're cute.
The kittens are cute, and I'm not even I'm not as big of a cat person. I have a cat named Coco Meow. She's a Siamese. She's just mean though.
Really? Oh, my kittens and my cat Ben before this, they follow me around the house it's like having dogs, but not having to deal with walking them and taking them out constantly.
That's nice. Where in Florida, whereabouts in Florida were you able to go to? Was it
yeah, West Palm Beach. It was just a quick weekend trip. I unfortunately couldn't stay too much longer just because I am so busy with work right now. So it was just for the weekend for my cousin's wedding in West Palm Beach. Aidan was originally supposed to come with me, but then his daughter had a cheerleading competition and it was he had to watch his son and everything. So he ended up not being able to come, but it was nice to see my family who I haven't seen in a long time and just spend time with them.
That's so cool. I love these comments. Yeah, true talk. Trolls can't walk in Meredith's shoes. They can walk in none of our shoes. I've had some really annoying, mean, vicious people recently, and you have to recognize they don't know what's going on, and they desperately want to, which makes them even more pathetic. And yes, Aidan did hit megabucks with Meredith. We all agree.
We're a good team.
Yeah, I was just about to say as much. What I was alluding to earlier. It just seems like he's super down to earth, one-on-one. I know a lot of people like him. When you're on, you're on. You can dodge an interview super well, not dodge it, but do really well one-on-one in an interview. You can be on your feet when it comes to being in front of people, but when you're not and having a bunch of people listen or watch you, you're pretty tame. And I've always gotten that impression about him. but I thought it was funny. One of the things he said, which I wasn't expecting him, was like for him to say was the staring contest the other day. Were you there at the motion hearing?
Yes, I didn't go into court, but I was there. I think, are you talking about when he was outside with Helena Rafferty?
Yeah,
I was there for that. I was literally next to him. She looked at me too, which she hates me. If you look at my Twitter and you search like at her whatever her handle is, I've tweeted at her a lot, especially during the Canton 9 stuff, and she can't stand me. She gets like, I send her FOIA requests too, and she like gets, you can tell she's so annoyed every time she has to deal with me. So yeah, she gave him a look, and then she gave me a look, and then walked out.
Peace. Like, why she was there? It like, whatever. Do you what do you think has been going on with Krusty? Like, in terms of why she's been so quiet recently? I kind of agree with that question. I've been wondering if she's finally scared of like the legal issues that Aidan's throwing out there at people. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even know if she was quiet. Honestly, I have her blocked on Twitter, so I don't really notice when she's quiet. I really only know when she's going off, when people send me screenshots of whatever she's doing, which I haven't seen lately. I mean, I'm sure she's happy about this rumor that the federal investigation is over, so that's good. But yeah, if she has been quiet about attacking Aidan, my guess is because next month is the 1 year of his order against her, and she's hoping it's not renewed. So that's my best guess.
Ooh, okay. I didn't realize that. How did the Canton 9 thing end? Like, what was that like? And can you explain that to our viewers?
Yeah, so the incident happened at the beginning of November. We had our probable cause hearing in January. So we were never actually charged. It was a probable cause hearing. If you don't know, you go in front of a clerk magistrate, the police officer comes and reads what happened, and then the clerk magistrate will decide if there's probable cause for you to be charged, and then you would have an arraignment. So we had those hearings in January of 2024. And we didn't get any kind of response or notification until after months and months of asking, our lawyers asking the court. Finally, in this past August of 2024, we got notices that there was no probable cause found and we were not being charged with felony witness intimidation. So yeah, I mean, it sucked, but I mean, I honestly there were times where I honestly forgot it was even still open because it had been so long. And looking at like the charges that Aidan has against him, like the 18, all the felony charges, I mean, it's really wasn't something that was on the top of my radar at all times that I was worrying about. So I can't say that, but yeah, no, it sucked because it definitely would have affected my job, and if I wanted to get another job if we actually were charged. So yeah, it sucked. We literally were standing outside of a pizza shop, Chris Albert's crummy pizza shop, holding signs that said free Karen Reed, and there was like a possibility of us getting charged with a felony. It's absolutely ridiculous that this public official who's a selectman in Canton has like the Canton police on speed dial just at his beck and call and just violating everyone's civil rights. It's absolutely ridiculous that we even had to go through with that, with getting an attorney and dealing with it. It's outrageous.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, how much does something like that cost you?
So we actually most of us did a group lawyer, Bill Gens, who was awesome.
Oh, that's great.
So I forget what the rate was. It wasn't more. It was like maybe $5,000 or $6,000 just for. It would have obviously been more if we were charged and had to go to trial. Then it would have been a lot more, but it wasn't a lot just for us. But that's something that those lawyers, Gens, they're really passionate about, First Amendment stuff like that. So I think they gave us like a little bit of a deal, to be honest. But yeah, most of us went with that same lawyer. And then I think the Roccos and then this other guy, they got their own. I don't know what theirs cost, but I don't think it was a lot just for a probable cause hearing. But still, it was in the thousands of dollars. And like,
just for talking, just for being somewhere, just for like literally
holding signs in Canton Town Center, in like the busiest part of Canton where we wanted to hold signs.
That, I mean, I swear to God, our founding fathers are ashamed of what's going on.
And then that didn't work. And then the Canton police decided to do the same thing with people leaving ducks and whatnot. And again, like they another fail for all of those people who got summons to court.
Because, the average person just has $6,000 to $6,000 to $10,000 to throw around on legal fees that they absolutely were not expecting for advocating for another person. Like, it just, that really doesn't sit well with me. And I'm very interested in seeing where this proposal to amend that statute goes. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I used to work with that representative, Nick. He and I actually know each other. So when I found out he was the one that was wanting to propose an amendment to that statute, I was like, no shit. Because I live in Ohio. It was a weird thing that we knew each other. We knew each other from a job training.
The guy that Aidan had on his show recently. Yeah.
No. The state representative.
Yeah.
Was he on the show?
I think he did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely who I mean.
Or maybe he was on Young Jerks. I can't remember, but yeah,
he was on Young Jerks. He was. I do remember that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure someone's going to correct us. Anyways, that's, it's really interesting, but I've been telling people for a while that I think that, Massachusetts, I think that the citizens may have had a pretty damn alarming wake-up call these last couple of years. So I think that I think that there are a lot of changes that could be happening politically in your state that'll, haven't happened before. And I'll be really interested in keeping up to like what's going on there. But it kind of going, I know we're like,
yeah, no, I mean, that's something to do with something I posted a little bit earlier before we were going on here with, I was looking at Michael Morrissey, the DA's, just his finance report and just how poorly his campaign, his fundraising events have been going compared to years before. The one he had this past August, I mean, he only made $3,400 total after the expenses, versus $55,000 the year before, and then another in the 40s or 50s. He had over 300 donors at the last event versus 120 or something left this last one. I mean, it's a perfect time for somebody new and fresh to come in and run over him in 2026. It's things are not going well for him. I mean, I don't know. We haven't heard much from these other candidates.
I know it's deplorable. Like, guys, if you want to win this, you have this. You almost have this in the bag. I have said on Twitter several times, and hate me all if you want, but I think that Massachusetts is going to go purple for the next 3 elections. It'll never be red. But I genuinely believe that people are fed up, and people are starting to speak up and show up for elections. So keep that in mind. I mean, from the dog warden to Supreme Court, it's what I always say, know who you're voting for. And this guy the corruption is unbelievable. We have a question. When does Lindsay have court for Aidan suing her? Isn't that?
Yeah, that's in a separate court. I think right now they're at the stage where she still has a certain amount of days to respond. And then there's a bunch of things that happen without a hearing. Not for a little. I'll have to check back on that. I don't think we'll obviously announce it when there is an actual in-court thing for that. But I think for these defamation things, a lot of stuff happens outside of court first. I don't know, to be honest, but nothing in the very near future. We'll post it like we do with his other dates. when it comes up.
I mean, I have so many things I still want to ask you. Are you, here, let me start here. Do you think that Karen's going to get a fair shake with the second trial?
To be honest, the way things are going right now with Hank and Auntie Bev, I mean, no, but do I think she would ever be convicted? No, still no, even with just some of the stuff that they've been pulling recently. I mean, definitely won't be any more fair than trial one, I don't think, the way, like, just like some of the aggressive things that Hank has been doing, but I still don't think, even with things stacked against her, she would never be convicted.
Do you, did you watch the interview, or were you there for the interview that Aidan did with the juror?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I was there when he spoke to him in the summer too, over the phone first. But when he wrote like a story about doing an interview with him, and then again, I was actually the one who encouraged him to have him on the show. And for months and months, I really wanted him to do it this past fall when that same juror had clips of himself on the podcast that were kind of totally taken out of context by M. William Phelps. But yeah, no, he finally asked him on, and he just said, yeah. I was like surprised. He was like, I wish I asked sooner to have him on. But yeah, no, I obviously heard it. I mean, it definitely made me think of things that I wouldn't have thought. But again, it's hard to think about what I would think of as a juror when I'm so deep into it and I know so much about it. Like, it's so much stuff that wasn't allowed in trial that I know about. So yeah, it's easy in hindsight is 2020 to say like, oh, if I were the juror, I would have never convicted them. But if you just, it's hard to think about and be in their mindset knowing only the limited things that they were allowed to know because of what was allowed into trial, you know?
I'm really interested in, everything that was released today about the jury tampering bit.
That was interesting when I read that. That was something new. I didn't realize that the defense was going down that
rabbit hole.
Not even a rabbit hole, but I didn't realize they were pursuing that area in this. I mean, I had heard rumors about it, and I kind of just brushed them off as conspiracy theories about the tampering with the jurors, with the state police. But to have it in there and the motion to dismiss validated, I mean, it's definitely interesting and something worth exploring. The other new thing I think that came out of that motion to dismiss was the other new video provided just a couple weeks ago that apparently has another like blurry figure near the taillight that they don't.
Right.
It's just like, how is this still happening 3 years after? Almost, it was January 28th, 2025. I think that they said this new video is coming. Like, it's just not even remotely shocking in this case. Any other case would be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
3 years later, 3 years after the death, and you're still getting brand new footage of the night it happened. Like, what? But it's just par for the course with this case, and it's not at all shocking. And it's the only thing that would be shocking would be if Auntie Bev actually finally started holding accountable. That's the only thing that would be shocking at this point.
I mean, there are so many things that could be done that I feel as though she's not going to do. I'm very, very, very concerned about what's going on there now and this second trial. I think that a lot of the points that were laid out in the papers that were released to the hounds today that we are all stressing and reading over, I think that one of the biggest takeaways was she really should have granted a continuance because both sides had asked for one last year, and she just wanted to proceed. And I can't imagine being a prosecutor and signing a what is it? Like a waiver of
discovery.
Say that again.
certificate of discovery. You're talking about the thing that was in the motion to dismiss that they were talking about that Lally signed that they'd given all over the discovery and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, certificate. I think. Yeah,
they are held to such a high standard when they sign that over.
Well, clearly not, because Auntie Bev doesn't seem to care that stuff was still being turned over well after, like throughout the trial. So,
that's what I'm saying, Meredith. I don't feel like this shit happens regularly other places. Like I am pretty in tune with trials. I love watching trials. I'm weird like that. But I have never once seen something this egregious go unpunished by a judge like freaking out. You know what I'm saying? Like where we live, that just doesn't happen. If you fuck around, you find out. And it doesn't seem to be that way there. It's alarming because if it can happen to Karen, it can happen to anyone. And that's what I always say. I don't want you guys to catch more heat either. Isn't Aidan supposed to like go to trial in like June or July?
So for his main case, the witness intimidation, there's no trial date set yet. He has a hearing for his motion to dismiss next week at Superior Court. I think the one that you're thinking of going to trial that's indicted, that's for the harassment order violation, the thing we just spoke about from February 26th of 2024 when Lindsay walked into court and made him leave and then called that because she showed up to where he's getting charged with violating the order. So yeah, that'll be a quick 1 or 2 day trial in June. But his witness intimidation case, the main case, it's like the stuff with her is just a distraction. Like she somehow became the focus because just of all the drama with it. But the main case that he was charged with to begin with was with the McAlberts, and that is nowhere near even having a trial date in sight at this point. So,
I'm only going to keep you a little bit longer because I know you want to.
No, I can stay. I'm not really in a rush for anything anymore, but I can stay a bit longer.
If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to ask them because I've been trying to like pick and choose what I'm asking. I want to give everyone else an opportunity. So I'm just, you know what I'm looking at, and I'm just going to pick and choose from a couple things. During kind of like going back to what we were talking about, like with the trolls and people harassing you guys, and not even harassing sometimes, just being like out in public even, has it been difficult to bite your tongue, or is it like strictly online? Is that like where you find the most like bullshit? Like tell us.
Honestly, it's pretty much only online. Anytime we go out everywhere, except for Canton outside of CF McCarthy's, with the exception of that event, it's always, oh my God, like, are you Turtleboy? Can I have a picture? And like, I've actually like shockingly, people like when I'm not even out with him have been like, are you Meredith? Are you like Turtleboy's girlfriend, Meredith? And I'm like, yeah. Like when I went to the wedding in Florida and I was in the airport at like 5:30 in the morning, I was walking out, I texted and I was like, this older lady just asked me, she was like, are you Aidan's Meredith? Like literally at Logan Airport at 5:30 in the morning. So like everybody I see at court, it's always all positive. Like you guys are great and thank you so much for what you're doing and everything. It's always all positive in person. None of these people who are psycho, they're not real people like in real life. They're
right.
A handful of people with 20 different Twitter accounts multiplied by 100. They have each have 20 fake accounts, and they spend their day relentlessly going after us. And that's their only source of happiness. In real life, we are only met with positivity, with the exception of if we go to Canton and it's like Chris Albert and his punk son waiting for us to threaten Aidan to bash
murderer, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So
literally a murderer.
We don't ever deal with anything but positivity in person, to be honest.
Unbelievable. Like, It's unbelievable. He's such a hypocrite.
Or if we go to like Castle Island and run into Tristan Morris, that's about it. It's only the McAlberts that we get any kind of negative reactions to in public.
That's fair. All right. Good to know that. They don't leave Canton. Do you like are they the kind of people that like have a house on the like Cape Cod, like
the McAlberts?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No. I mean, Chris Albert can't. Well, recently he's been able to pay his taxes, but every single year he gets like tax liens on his pizza shop. He go small claims in court.
Okay.
He doesn't pay the pepperoni man. So no, I don't think Chris Albert. I mean, I think Jen McCabe, I think her husband supposedly does well for himself. I don't know if they have a house in the Cape or if they're
that's like we've discussed that on my show.
No, previously. I think I'm going to like the casino is like their idea of like an amazing weekend. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm not like hating on anybody's thing, but that's like.
Oh, I mean, we love to go to the casino, but like we enjoy vacations. Like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. And I do have to say this. I have someone who came to Columbus who watches this show. His sole purpose was to bring his wife to the Justin Timberlake show in Columbus tonight. And he just called off the concert with like 10 minutes to go. And these people flew in here. And I know you know who you are. I'm so sorry. And I'll see you tomorrow night because I'm meeting him and his wife. They wanted to meet Frankie and I. So wow, that really sucks. I saw that alert go up on my phone and I was like, oh.
What is it? Snow you guys are getting?
No. Justin has the flu apparently. But we are getting thunderstorms. Yesterday and today we have had crazy thunder. Like at one point, I honest to God thought we were having an earthquake. I've never felt one before. Did you think that, Frank? Yeah, it was like it actually shook our house. And I was like, I wonder if we just had like an actual earthquake, and then it was just rolling thunder. So as someone who loves severe weather, I am a very big weather nerd. I am thrilled that we are entering tornado season. I'm super excited to watch crazy people chase tornadoes. Anyway, yeah, I know. What was what if anything?
What if anything?
Would you say to anyone who's in a similar situation as you in terms of like advice with dealing with like trolls and people who are just either unhinged or they just honestly they are miserable and they want you to be miserable?
I don't know. I think the best thing I started doing was instead of reading it religiously is just blocking them all and ignoring. I mean, if they want to spew hatred and evil, just let them. If they want to make fools of themselves, acting like middle schoolers, or honestly, probably not even middle schoolers. My daughter who's in middle school who had to deal with some mean girls, they're not even as bad as some of them. They're acting like toddlers. And if they want to do that, just ignore it.
Those are some rough years.
Yeah.
Middle school. But I you know, for a brief time, I taught extremely emotionally disturbed middle schoolers. That was actually my title. And I helped out in a classroom that was just for them. They were either on their way to juvie or like on their way from juvie. And I'm like one of those people who, unlike Aidan, like I know Aidan talked about like liking working with high schoolers. I'm more of a middle school person. I think they are hilarious. Do they smell bad? Yes. But like, I think they are mostly very funny, but the girls are just awful. I feel bad.
Oh yeah, I hated middle school. Yeah, no, I don't know how teachers do it. I could never have the patience.
I think about my middle school experience and like my bad days, and I'm like, oh my God, how bad can it be now? Like when there's social media, you know what I'm saying? Just, it must be so cruel and unusual. And then, I mean, the only other thing I would really like to hear you answer for me, if this is okay, trying to pick my last question. Has your perception of the criminal justice system changed since getting together with Aidan, or were you aware of the corruption beforehand?
Oh yeah, no, for sure it's changed. I honestly, like many people, is totally back the blue. I mean, probably my opinion of a lot of unless there was some really major podcast that went into like this person being framed, I was pretty much like of the opinion a lot of these, what you hear in the news headlines about somebody like they're arrested for murder, they're probably guilty.
Right.
I never would have thought that any of the stuff that has been exposed with this case would be possible in anywhere in the United States, never mind just down the road in the county that I grew up in Milton. Milton is part of Norfolk County.
I didn't realize that. Well, I don't know the counties in Massachusetts, so that's really interesting. Now, do you guys have anything fun planned like this summer, you and your daughter, or you and Aidan? Like, you don't say where.
Yeah, no, we haven't planned anything yet, honestly, like, which I would love to, but just with the trial and then his court dates, like, it's going to have to be something last minute, because we can never plan anything because we're always going to court. I mean, it is what it is. I'm used to it at this point, but it does kind of suck. I'll be ready when I'm really ready for this all to end, that we're not going to Dedham on a weekly basis anymore. I mean, I was saying, I'm grateful though, because around this time last year, a few weeks before, I was saying, I can't wait till the day I'm not coming to visit you at Norfolk County Correction Center and jail weekly. But, so, I mean, I guess going to court every week, still going to Dedham every week, but for court and not jail visits at least. So it could be worse.
How far is that from your house?
When there's no traffic, when I would hop on the highway on like Saturday morning visits, because the jail is like right next to the courthouse where we go for care and see.
Oh, okay.
It's 5 minutes away. So it'll take me like 20-25 minutes, but
yeah,
traffic, maybe like a half an hour, 40 minutes to get to Dedham.
I guess I didn't realize it was in the same exact place as I was referring to.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So I don't know if you know this, but I started a Etsy shop so that I could start making some secondary income for me going to Dedham. And I have a Airbnb that I've spoken to the owner about coming and staying in, but I told her, I was like, I don't know what the trial situation is going to be. I mean, do you think that it's going to start on April 1st? Because I really find that extremely difficult to believe.
So April 1st is when jury selection starts. So that's right. Like, I wouldn't want to even really, I mean, I might go to a couple days of it, like with Aidan, just to the beginning, just curious to see.
Oh, no, I'm not going for, I'm just saying, like, do you really think that she's going to be hard pressed to start April 1st?
I mean, a lot of things are up in the air right now.
Right.
If Auntie has her way, yes, it'll start right on time on April 1st, which is, again, why, like, it was really frustrating that we spent an entire day in court, and Bob Leslie had to spend an entire day in court because of all these accusations that Hanky made last week. It's really frustrating, though, to see that being allowed to have Hanky, thanks to Hanky, we wasted an entire day in court. And though, she's going to rush the defense now on things that actually matter when they need to do motions for experts and everything. They're going to rush them and blame them, even though it was all Hanky's fault that we wasted an entire day.
You are so right.
On nonsense on Tuesday. So it's just, if she has a way, yeah, I think it'll start on time. I don't see it getting delayed again because she was reluctant to even delay it to April. She wanted it to start January, back in the fall. But,
that's insanity. Like, that is so crazy. And I feel like a lot of things could have been avoided if they had just stayed it a little bit longer, the first trial. But who knows? I'm sure that the defense would have still gotten the half video recordings that they got the night before. I'm sure they would have still gotten like stupid shit like that headed towards them that they would have had to pivot around. But this is wild. This is not real life.
Jury selection is this time. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes like a full month to find a jury, maybe longer.
Really?
I think it was a few weeks in trial one. I'm trying to think, but now at this point, I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to find somebody that hasn't formed some sort of opinion on this case, just with how widespread the coverage has been. So I could see. I don't really see the real trial starting until the middle of May.
My birthday is May 7th.
I would have guessed. So I wouldn't even think about getting an Airbnb for April at all.
Yeah, no, I figured that it would be more towards the end of April. I don't even know when Easter is. I know that sounds awful, but I'm sure it's towards the end of April. But I figured if anything, it would be around then that they get their bullshit together. If this is actually going forward, which is so crazy to think that's the case. I don't know what your situation is. I didn't get to ask you about anything today. I saw you tweeting quite a bit. Do you have like a brief summarization of what your thoughts are about what happened?
About what happened?
Sorry, I saw something pop up on my screen. The motion to dismiss.
Yeah. I did tweet about that a little bit today. Yeah, I mean, I read through it. So much of it was redacted, which is not shocking at all.
Is it?
What?
Like, you were not shocked? Like, what do you think they were redacting?
I mean, I know what some of it is. It's text messages that are under a protective order. The stuff with the jury was pretty new to me. I didn't know that they were going to, like I said earlier, I didn't know they were going to go down that route of the juror tampering thing. I didn't realize those were actually real kind of allegations that were being looked into. I mean, and not surprising with this case. But most of the stuff that's redacted is text messages that were provided to both Aidan and Karen back in the fall. That's under protective order, not federal protective order because Hanky filed one and doesn't want things that make Michael Proctor and Jen McCabe look bad. So this is the same stuff that he filed.
As if they could ever look good right now.
Yeah. So if you recall, a couple weeks ago, Hank filed a motion for sanctions against them because they put out in a motion a text where, this is just one example, Michael Proctor said how that called Alan Jackson an asshole, said he didn't watch his closing statements or whatever. that was under that same protective order. And the rest of it is more the same text messages that just make them look bad. It doesn't have any personal information in it that needs like protecting. It's more stuff that's just Hanky doesn't want out there. And that's the bulk of the stuff that's redacted, besides the juror stuff that is new to me.
I'm so like intrigued by the juror thing. I was just pulling up my notes from today. It was crazy to I did not read all the pages. I watched.
Yes, and if you see, it's clear there have been rumors for a while about Lieutenant Fanning, who was in charge of the security of the jurors, being involved. And then if you see the very last page, and I made a separate tweet about this, where it said if Auntie Bev doesn't want to dismiss the case outright, which she should, at the very least, they should have an evidentiary hearing. And then it listed the people that they would want to attend that hearing, and it was like Yuri, Michael Proctor, Helena, and then at the end it was Lieutenant Fanning too. So I mean, I think it's obvious we know what some of those redacted juror things were about. It's probably related to the accusations that have been flying around with Fanning, and then the story about the juror who was dismissed, who supposedly was going off and talking about the case which they didn't validate at all before dismissing her. So
how it's starting versus how it's going for Michael Meatball Morrissey. You tweeted that today.
Oh yeah, that was this afternoon. I was like, it's funny. So my work has
that picture.
Yeah, Lauren Murray said that to me. I was like, Lauren, quickly, can you send me? Do you have any good unflattering pictures of Michael Morrissey on purpose? Like, she's posted about him a lot. She's like, of course I do. So I was like, all right, give me a picture. So yeah, my work is crazy right now, but it's kind of like peaks and valleys. There will be some hours where I'll just like I'll have a couple hours free. Or I'll have a half an hour free while I'm waiting on something. And I said like a half an hour before we were hopping onto this free. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't know what made me think. I was curious who was still donating to Michael Morrissey. And then I was like, I'm just going to whip up a quick spreadsheet and like this half an hour I have before our show and just look at how badly he's doing. And like, I was like shocked. He literally made $3,400 at his thing in August 2024.
That's
compared
awful.
to like almost $60,000 at his last couple of events. Like, some of the last people who were still donating to him are only McAlberts at this point. Some of the people I recognized was John Connolly, who's that select board chair, the one who popped up like a jack in the box at the special town meeting last year when the audit was approved for the Canton Police. And then Colleen Crawford, another name who you probably remember recently, is the one who was involved in the shenanigans at Canton Police with looking at the video footage. So yeah, his support is dwindling. So if anybody is going to run, I feel like this is their chance. Hopefully a strong candidate can go up against him, because it turns out not many people want to support a corrupt DA who's helping frame an innocent woman.
I have worked in a lot of political fundraising, and I think that was like the first message I ever sent to you. It was about PACs and for political candidates. And yeah, that is a really, really bad number. That to go from, I'm not even to go from 55 to $3,000. Oh
yeah,
my
somebody
God.
was like, I thought you said it was from 55,000 to 34,000. Like, no, 3,400.
No, $30,000.
72% decrease in money raised. His expenses have increased by 230% because he's he's hiring all this additional security because he's afraid to talk to any of his constituents. And like the net profit from his fundraiser was declined 94%. And then the number of donors, he used to have close to 400. There were only 130. So that declined 100. That declined 64%. Yeah.
He just needs like a crisis squad right now, like a PR crisis squad, if he has any hopes of surviving this, which I don't think will do him much. So it would be wasted money, but holy crap. I hope
he's going and making videos telling people that they need to stop harassing witnesses and it needs to stop. That's the only really public relations, it's the only time he's spoken out publicly about anything in the last couple of years. And again, yeah, it sounds really bad. He's clearly doing that. He's not like raising money. He doesn't have a lot of supporters, but I mean, nobody like has really stepped up and done much campaigning against him. So I could see some of the same people just going and just seeing him and not really getting involved and just voting for him again. So
Oh my God, it infuriates me. That infuriates me as someone who's super active in campaigns, and I never look at a county and just dismiss them. Like, that's silly. It's wild to me. That this is wild. Um, do you have anything else that you wanted to say, or thoughts that you wanted to provide? Anything along those lines?
No, I mean, thank you so much for having me on, and just anybody who's listening. I really appreciate everybody who like sends me messages that just of support, of kindness, and especially people who come up to me at court and just have all nice things to say to me. It's really like, there are days I do still like see what some of the trolls say, and I do let it get to me. So it does really brighten up my day, all the support that I get from people. So I really appreciate it. So does Aidan.
I love that for you guys. And I hope it doesn't stop. And I made it very clear to my viewers that we were going to show love and support. And I'm so glad that no one screwed around. I didn't have to become really mean.
Oh, it would have been fun, but...
Yeah, this was really fun, Meredith. And when I do come for 2.0, I hope that we can meet up and officially, maybe have a meal food in person.
Yeah, definitely.
And you are as lovely on here as you are in the photos. Please don't let anyone tell you anything otherwise. What These people are crazy. So I'm so glad that you took me up on this, and I greatly appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And if you guys want to, please make sure to like the stream, retweet it, reshare it if you found it helpful. Meredith, you are by all, how do I say this? You are free to go if you want. I'm probably gonna stick around here for a little bit.
All right. So, thank you so much for having me.
Yep. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
So, does anyone know anyone on here right now, before people start dropping like flies? Have the Epstein files been released yet? The first batch? That was something that I was like, oh my God, I'm going up against the Epstein files tonight. Anyone in here? Thank you. I thought it was a really good show. I've been wanting to have Meredith on for a while. And like she said, she got really, really sick. And people thought it was because of something else. And I was like, no, girl is sick. She is not feeling well. Has anything happened since I was doing this? Anything newsworthy? I will tell you guys, I'll spend like maybe 5 to 10 minutes on here. Let me water my mouth. I think after today's motion to dismiss, I have never seen such negligence by a judge. There have been so many opportunities for Bev to reprimand the prosecution, the Commonwealth, to sanction them, to alert the jury that there was some fuckery going around. Sorry, I curse. I'm really not sorry. I In hindsight, I'm absolutely repulsed that we have not seen a judge be the gatekeeper that we expect judges to be. Um, it's terrifying because, like I've said before, if it can happen to Karen, it can happen to anyone. And so often we hear of, um, like straight white women getting the benefit of the doubt and not getting, not having nearly the amount of legal problems. Um, she has, if they were going to pick anyone, and I think it's also helpful that Aiden like picked up on this story. I think that she I would love to see another case that would show a different perspective, like someone who didn't have um someone as loud and as loyal of an audience as Aiden did, who y'all think is genuinely innocent, or who was genuinely screwed over by the courts. That is where I am trying to emphasize right now. I believe that Karen Reed is factually innocent, but I have always hated that word. I think it diminishes everything you say before it, right? Let me get comfortable. If you haven't noticed, I've been cracking my neck. I pinched a nerve in my neck. Um, so I've been trying to like stretch it. I think that Karen is factually innocent. I am trying to appeal to the people on the fence at this point in the game by how much, once again, I have to say it, fuckery has gone on with the investigation, the evidence logs, lack thereof, um, the discovery. I mean, if y'all aren't watching this as closely as someone like Meredith and I are or have been, it's like once a month we're now getting new discovery that was there since 2022. Y'all, it's 2025. When do we start raising hell? When do we start holding these people accountable for their misactions? And I think now is the time. I think that if you are a resident of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you should be looking into who can be a better representative for you, your beliefs, what is important to you, and those you care about. What's going on right now is not working. And I I mean, God give y'all strength, because I don't know how much bail money my husband would need to get me out of prison jail right now if I live there. I just like, you guys have been screwed over so much, and it's terrifying. Like, I'm literally looking into the camera right now, you guys. It is terrifying what is happening to you. If prosecutors are not held to the level of responsibility that they need to be, that is when people start getting charged for things that they didn't do, other than, Karen Reed, on cases that could be larger than murder, could be smaller. They are just as impactful. So I hope, if anything, that you guys really consider who you give the keys to the city to, who you allow to be a representative of what you believe in. And if I hadn't been talking shit for the last year, I would go and run for city council, like start small. I don't trust what's going on there. And that's wild. That's wild. And anyone who paid attention to civics or AP history or US history knows it is. So I am extremely grateful that Meredith came on here tonight and, shared her story, not only as her truth, but as the girlfriend of one of the most talked about people on the internet regarding the Karen Reed case. I think she is absolutely lovely in person, and by in person I mean interviewing her, as she is in photos. I'm very happy that Aidan got out of what was clearly a very vicious and dangerous, abusive relationship. I have very much enjoyed, I'm sure the majority of you come from Turtle Club and, our time together on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and then Sex Cold on Thursdays, which involves no sex and there's no cult. But like I said earlier, if you are not subscribed to his channel, tbdailynews.com is how you can sign up. And if you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to like it. And if I may be as bold as to ask for you to retweet it or share it, that would be lovely. I greatly appreciate all of y'all's support, and especially with the shop this last month. My Etsy store, it's been doing really well. Like, by the week, I have to measure it. So I've taken some orders independently, and I'm really excited about it. So I appreciate you all. And I will be back here next Thursday from 7 to 9. I had to think, like, is the time change happening? No, and that wouldn't affect it. 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and I will have another really great guest for you who I will announce on Monday. So thank you so, so much. And if you are on YouTube, hello, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. Not on here very often, but we'll see where this goes, right? All right. Love you guys. Have a great night.